In 2003, a psychologist named Richard Wiseman conducted an experiment that shook our understanding of reality. He gathered a group of people, half of whom identified themselves as very lucky, and the other half who claimed to be cursed with bad luck. He gave them a newspaper and asked a simple question: how many photos are in it? The unlucky group took 2 minutes to count them. The lucky group took only a few seconds. Why? Because on the second page, in 2-inch capital letters, Wiseman printed the message, "Stop counting. There are 43 photos in this newspaper." The unlucky people were so anxious, so focused on the task, that they missed the opportunity right in front of them. This isn't a video about positive thinking. It's about the physics of our attention. And we're going to debunk the myth of chance. We're going to prove, through neuroscience and ancient theology, that luck isn't a lightning strike, it's a learned skill. It's a biological function, and more importantly, it's a spiritual algorithm. Welcome to Logic and Light.
To understand luck, we must first understand the machine that processes our reality, the human brain. Specifically, a group of nerves at the base of our skull called the Reticular Activating System, or RAS. Our senses are bombarded with 11 million bits of data every second. The conscious mind can only process about 50. If we perceived it all, we would instantly go insane. So the RAS acts as a gatekeeper. It filters out 99.99% of reality and only lets in what we deem relevant. For example, when you buy a red car, suddenly you see red cars everywhere. Do factories increase production? No. Your RAS marks red cars as important. This is the biological basis of the lucky mind. Lucky people have programmed their RAS to scan for opportunities, connections, and khair, goodness. Unlucky people have programmed their RAS to scan for obstacles. But this is where we leave the secular and enter the sacred. In Islamic tradition, this concept of sustenance is known as rizq. But rizq is not just your salary. It is your time, your health, your intelligence, and your peace. Rizq has been designed. It was written. The Prophet Muhammad said, "Ruhullah has revealed to me that no soul will die before it receives its full rizq. So seek sustenance in a good way." This creates a paradox. If your fortune has been written, if the amount of money you will earn, the breath you will breathe, the opportunities you will encounter have been written in Lawh Mahfuz, then why is effort important? Why align RAS? Why make any effort at all?
This brings us to the most dangerous intellectual trap in religious philosophy, the paralysis of destiny. If I am destined to be poor, I will be poor. If I am destined to be lucky, I will be lucky. This is the logic of a pessimist. It is a misunderstanding of qadar, divine decree. It assumes that your destiny is a single static timeline, but physics and theology suggest something far more dynamic. Consider chaos theory. The butterfly effect states that small changes in initial conditions can make a huge difference in the final outcome. A butterfly flapping its wings in Brazil causes a tornado in Texas. Now, apply this to your soul. A Bedouin once asked the Prophet, peace be upon him, "Should I tie my camel and rely on Allah, or leave it untied and rely on Allah?" The Prophet replied, "Tie it and rely on Allah. Tie your camel. This is the variable of action, cusp. Bet on Allah. This is the variable of submission, tawakkul." Conflict arises when we mix the two. Modern grind-set culture wants us to believe we control everything. This leads to anxiety, burnout, and the illusion of control. A fatalistic outlook wants us to believe we control nothing. This leads to laziness and spiritual apathy. The unlucky people in Wiseman's experiment didn't see the headlines because they were too focused on the hard work of counting photos. They were tense, anxious, and withdrawn. They tried to force the outcome rather than observing the situation. They forgot that while the outcome belongs to providence, the attention belongs to you. So, how do we hack this? How do we align our reticular activating system with divine providence to unlock the Rizq algorithm? We must synthesize the scientific ready mind with the spiritual taqwa. Louis Pasteur said, "Chance favors only the prepared mind." Now let's look at the definition of taqwa, God consciousness. It comes from the root word wakia, which means to protect or be highly alert. A person with taqwa is spiritually alert. They observe reality with high resolution. When we combine these, we get a new definition of luck. Luck equals preparation, neuroplasticity, plus opportunity, divine providence. Rizq is often described as rain. It falls everywhere. But if our container is upside down, cynicism, lack of gratitude, anxiety, we will get nothing. But if our container is upright, optimism, effort, tawakkul, we will get the rain. Let's dig deeper. The Rizq algorithm works based on 3 inputs. Input 1, gratitude, multiplier. In information theory, the signal-to-noise ratio is everything. Gratitude clears the noise. It tells our RAS, this is valuable. We must find more of this. And Allah says, if you are grateful, I will surely increase it for you. Notice the certainty in the word indeed. This is the law of cause and effect. Gratitude expands our cognitive bandwidth to perceive more abundance, which physically manifests as fortune. Input 2, action, collision. Unexpected luck is a function of surface area. We can't get lucky just sitting in a dark room. We must move. We must tie the camel. Every action we take creates a collision point with the dunya, world. The more collisions, the higher the probability of a fortunate event occurring. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if you submit to Allah as you should, you will be provided for like the birds. They go out hungry in the morning and return full at dusk. Key phrase, they're out. Birds don't wait in nests. Input 3, detachment, attachment. And this is the hardest part. Once we align our RAS, intention, and move our feet, action, we must completely detach from the specific outcome. We must accept that what we don't get isn't meant to be, and what we do get isn't meant to be. This detachment removes the anxiety that blinds the unlucky people in the newspaper experiment. When we're not desperate for the number of photos, we see the headlines. When we're not desperate for a job, we do better in interviews. When we're not desperate for money, we invest more wisely. A new protocol is ready to be installed in our consciousness, a renewed operating system for our soul, often caught up in the hustle and bustle of the mundane. Imagine the morning not as the beginning of a routine, but as a crucial moment to calibrate our reticular activating system. Instead of drowning in a stream of random digital information, we begin with a niyyah, an intention that resonates in the void, asking for beneficial knowledge and abundant sustenance. At this point, we neurocognitively instruct our brains to filter reality, searching for patterns of blessing hidden beneath the noise. This journey continues by expanding our touchpoint with the universe. We are encouraged to take a single action that triggers positive randomness, whether through a bold email, an unusual travel route, or simply a conversation with a stranger. We are shaking the box of reality, inviting the butterfly effect to redraw the lines of our destiny. But when the storm of uncertainty hits, we transition to the tawakkul pivot. While most humans ask, why is this happening to me? We choose to see it as a greater design, a protection, or a hidden lesson. Science, through Richard Wiseman studies, shows that the lucky are actually skilled narrators. They are able to rewrite dark memories into meaningful plot twists. This is a manifestation of husn el-zan billah,
a good opinion of the architect of the universe. Ultimately, luck is not mystical magic, but rather the discipline of staying awake in a world that forces us to sleep. It is the courage to perfectly tie the camel while having the wisdom to realize that only Allah holds the reins. The algorithm is running, supply is decreasing. Are you watching? I am Logic and Light, and see you in the next video.